A woman was sold by her husband, purchased by an old man, then given to the old man's blind grandson. Wife for sale. Emily was staring blankly into the distance, holding the annulment papers in her hands. Those papers were not only a symbol of her final separation from her husband, but also a symbol of her complete surrender to someone else. It was terrifying to think about, but her husband had sold her. He sold her when his money ran out after the wedding, and he lost their properties. He sold her because she was his last hope to regain some cash. Behave yourself with your new husband, Emily. You should even be thankful you're getting a portion of $2 million to help pay for your mother's treatment, said Aunt Jocelyn, her mother-in-law. She was inside a car at that moment, sitting in the back seat next to her husband, Ethan, who was smiling broadly because the payment had already been deposited into his bank account. They were now driving her to the person who bought her, someone who supposedly needed a wife. And besides, Emily's useless to Ethan, Aunt Jocelyn added. For some reason, ever since you married her, your life has gone downhill. Isn't that right, son? It's a lot of money. $2 million, Ethan agreed, then turned to Emily. Ah, Emily, how disgraceful. She never imagined she'd actually be sold. At first, I was just joking, but I was shocked that the old man went for it, he said. Emily felt a chill. An old man had bought her. She swallowed hard and wrapped her arms around herself. Her experience with Ethan had already been painful. Now she was being faced with another problem. Don't worry, Emily, Ethan said, grinning. That old guy is really old, so once he dies, you'll get all his assets and come back to me. Understand? It's not like you were forced into this, right? You agreed for your mother, who's bedridden in the hospital, so don't screw up. Emily's hands clenched as her tears threatened to spill. She had been against the idea of being sold to anyone at first, because it seemed so inhumane. But when she realized her mother, who was fighting for her life in the hospital, desperately needed help, Emily agreed on the condition that she would get a share of the money. Yes, I agreed to be sold, she said, turning to Ethan, but keep your word about my mother. Of course, Emily, Ethan replied. I'll keep my promise. Emily did not fully trust him because he was a gambler, but at least regarding her mother, she had no choice but to believe him. You're wasting your money, Ethan, Aunt Jocelyn sneered. Emily's mother is going to die anyway. There's no cure for cancer. Just let her die and be done with her suffering. You're only saying that because you've never been in my position, Aunt Jocelyn. I know you've disliked me from the start, but could you at least mind your words? You're spouting nonsense, Emily snapped. Hey, Ethan warned. That's enough. If not for Emily, we'd still be broke. Aunt Jocelyn rolled her eyes and looked away. Throughout the drive, Emily tried to hold back tears that threatened to fall. She couldn't believe how she had been fooled by Ethan's initial behavior. She had chosen to love and marry him because she thought he was a decent man who would be good for her. But once they stepped into married life, his true colors appeared. He was a gambler, a spendthrift, and, above all, indifferent to her. He treated her like an object he had quickly grown bored with. His mother had disliked her from the start, too. When they arrived at a large gate, the taxi driver turned to them. We're here, announced Aunt Jocelyn, who was the first to step out. Emily's knees began to tremble where she sat, her nerves on edge. Put these clothes on, Emily, Ethan told her, throwing a revealing outfit at her. Huh? Why? She glanced at her baggy t-shirt and long skirt. You can't meet the old man dressed like that, Ethan insisted in an annoyed voice. You look like a maid. Hurry, get changed. We're right outside his house. She had no choice but to switch into the tight dress Ethan gave her. As soon as they stepped out of the taxi, Emily noticed Aunt Jocelyn's wide grin as they finally passed through the gate and took in the sight of an impressive mansion. Wow, Aunt Jocelyn exclaimed. Remember to treat that old man properly. If he dies, everything he owns goes to you. Then don't forget us. Look back on where you came from when that happens. Emily clenched her fists behind her at that comment. When that old man dies, Emily comes back to me, Ethan said, so all his wealth will come to us too. That's my son, Aunt Jocelyn laughed, falling silent as a group of men came to meet them, likely the old man's staff. Emily had no clue what lay ahead, once Ethan and Aunt Jocelyn left her there with the man who had purchased her. She dreaded another miserable life at someone else's mercy. Mr. Matthews, the old man greeted, shaking Ethan's hand. Good thing you made it, is what I bought here now? Yes, Mr. Donovan. Ethan approached Emily and pulled her closer to the old man. A chill crept over her when the old man gave her a once-over. This is my wife, Emily, Ethan introduced her. Don't worry, she's hard-working, not troublesome, and best of all, she'll make you happy. The old man showed no sign of being pleased by that remark, which made Emily uneasy. That's so, the old man muttered. Have you signed the annulment? Yes, Mr. Donovan. Ethan took an envelope from Emily and handed it to the old man. Here are the annulment papers, symbolizing that you've now bought my wife. The old man nodded. All right, then you can leave now. Ethan and Aunt Jocelyn exchanged glances, as if wanting to say something more but couldn't. You have no more questions? Ethan asked awkwardly. None, the old man replied, signaling his staff to escort Ethan and Aunt Jocelyn to the gate. Ethan tightened his grip on Emily's hand and glared at her. Behave here, Emily, if you want your mother's treatment to continue. I don't want to hear that Mr. Donovan withdrew his payment because you messed up. Got it? Emily didn't reply, so Ethan released her hand abruptly. His expression was sour as he turned and left with Aunt Jocelyn, accompanied by the old man's men. Now Emily was alone with the old man who had bought her. She felt a sharp chill. What a worthless husband, selling you to me, the old man said, making her lift her gaze in surprise. And why are you dressed like that? Planning to seduce me, are you? She flushed with embarrassment. No. Suddenly, the old man laughed, a hearty laugh like Santa Claus. Forgive me, miss, but I might be heading straight to an even hotter place in the afterlife if I did something like that. I loved my late wife dearly. She was confused. But then why did you buy me? I'm old, he answered. I may only have days, weeks, months, or a few years left. I lost my only child and his wife in an accident, and my own wife is gone too. All that's left is my grandchild and me in this world. I bought you as a present for my grandson before I leave this world. Emily's mouth fell open. His grandson? The old man sighed and called for one of the household staff, a woman named Melinda. Melinda, take this young lady to my grandson's room. Melinda approached and lightly grasped Emily's arm. Come on, Mom. Wait, sir. Emily started to speak, but the old man merely smiled and waved goodbye. Melinda guided Emily to an elevator, and Emily's nerves began to rattle again. If she had been worried earlier at the thought of going to a very old man, now she was even more unsettled, realizing she'd actually be staying with his grandson. When they reached the third floor, using the elevator, Melinda took Emily to a large door and knocked 3 times before pushing it open, then nudged Emily inside. Ouch! Emily complained at the force of the shove. Good luck, ma'am, Melinda said, her eyes wide with meaning. What do you mean, good luck? Emily asked, but Melinda gave no answer. She shut the door hurriedly, leaving Emily inside. Hey, wait! Emily called out, grabbing the doorknob and trying in vain to open it. Open this door. What do you mean by good luck? Hello? Hello? When the door wouldn't budge, Emily was struck by another realization. The room was dark. Her heartbeat quickened, and she turned around warily. Why is it so dark? She muttered. She started feeling the walls, hoping to find a light switch. Where is that switch? She took cautious steps, guiding herself by keeping a hand to the wall, because she couldn't see anything. It was like she was blind, even though the darkness was the real culprit. As she groped her way forward, her foot bumped into something, causing her to lose her balance. She fell forward, landing on something hard. At that exact moment, the lights switched on, illuminating the entire room and revealing what she had landed on. "Shoot!" she gasped, quickly scrambling to get off whatever she had fallen onto, especially when she realized it was a person. A man had a shocked expression on his face, his upper body bare, and she had landed right on top of him, her face smacking against his chest that had 6 sculpted lines. Sorry," she stuttered, humiliated. "Who are you?" the man demanded. She tried to say, but was cut off as the door opened. She glanced toward the door, spotting Mr. Donovan and Melinda. Melinda clasped a hand over her mouth in shock. "Melinda," Mr. Donovan said in dismay, "I only told you to bring her to my grandson's room, but this is quite a scene." "I did bring her here, sir," Melinda insisted. "I didn't know she'd jump him right away." Emily's face burned. She quickly slid off the bed. "I didn't jump him," she tried to explain. "It was dark and I lost my balance." Mr. Donovan suddenly laughed. "No need to explain, young lady. We understand." Emily felt more anxious than ever. Mr. Donovan sighed and approached the young man, who was still lying there but with his eyes focused on the ceiling, as if he were staring into nothingness. He sat down on the bed and called out to him. "Grandson," he said. The young man sat up, revealing he was only half-dressed. Emily couldn't help noticing the odd way he stared, like he wasn't really seeing anything, as though his focus was somewhere else entirely. "Are you okay?" Mr. Donovan asked gently. "I know you told me not to visit you, but I'm your grandfather. I can't help it." The young man remained silent. "I know you're still upset, but I'm doing my best to bring back your eyesight," Mr. Donovan continued. Emily's jaw dropped at those words. Bring back his eyesight? So he really was blind? She stared at him, beginning to piece it all together. "I don't need that anymore. Leave me alone," the young man said. "I have a present for you, grandson," Mr. Donovan responded. "This young lady's name is— what's your name again?" "Emily," she answered meekly. "Yes, Emily. She's my gift to you, grandson. She's the woman I intend for you to marry." "No," the young man snapped. "Why would I marry someone I've never even seen?" "Believe me, I have good taste," Mr. Donovan insisted. "I wouldn't give you someone unattractive. Besides, I'm sure she'll take good care of you. I purchased her from her gambler husband." "What?" The young man's voice turned harsh, though his expression was hard to read. "You bought a girl?" Mr. Donovan sighed. "You forced my hand, grandson. You kept turning down all the women I tried to introduce, even after I described them to you so you could imagine them. But you were too picky, so I just bought a suitable wife. I got her from a gambler." "Grandpa, I won't marry her," the young man insisted. "If you don't, I'll just go die," Mr. Donovan threatened. "You want that? You want me to die before you regain your sight, and you won't get your inheritance, because I'll sign it all over to the girl I bought." "No!" the young man shouted. "Then marry her, grandson," Mr. Donovan said. "It's my last wish, for you to settle down, marry a woman with a good heart, and have your own family before I leave this world." Under that heavy persuasion, the young man gave in. 2 weeks after Emily was sold by her husband, she was married to the old man's blind grandson, whose name was Vincent Donovan. He wasn't cruel. Although moody, he wasn't abusive like Ethan had been, and he allowed Emily her freedom. Essentially, they were married only on paper. There was nothing else between them. Emily was still relieved, though, because she had found a measure of peace. "Ma'am Emily," called Melinda one morning. Sir Vincent is looking for you. Emily was in the kitchen cooking breakfast. She paused what she was doing to listen. Melinda had just come from Vincent's room, where she had delivered his meal. "Why does he want me?" asked Melinda curiously. "When I brought his food, he asked for you." "All right, please watch the food for me," Emily answered. "If it's done, kindly set it aside." Melinda nodded. Emily headed to Vincent's room. Inside, she found him seated on the sofa, doing nothing. She approached him cautiously. "Do you need anything?" His eyebrow lifted. "Anything? Don't you know what you're supposed to call me?" She looked awkward. Do you want me to call you sir?" "Did you call your first husband that? Just call me Vincent," he replied. "We're married, remember?" She apologized, then asked again if he needed anything. "Choose clothes for me," he instructed. "They're in the walk-in closet. We're going out today." She agreed, walking into the closet. It was huge, lined with his stylish outfits. A large portrait of Vincent hung there, depicting him shirtless with a stern expression. Emily was struck by how handsome he looked. She wondered why he had lost his sight. She sighed and picked out clothes for him. Coming back, she found him still on the sofa. "Here," she said. "I have your outfit ready. Do you have any underwear there?" he asked casually. "Briefs or boxers?" She blushed. "Huh? No, I only grabbed clothes." "Didn't you think about my underwear?" he asked, sounding annoyed. "Go get it. Top drawer." She quickly returned to the closet, opened the drawer he indicated, and grabbed some briefs and boxers. She couldn't help feeling pity for him. He was blind, and she worried he might put things on backward. Vincent took the items and made his way to the bathroom, carefully using the furniture and walls as guides. "Vincent, wait," she called, stepping forward. He stopped, already in the process of removing his shirt. "What is it?" She hesitated. "I can help you if you want. You might put your shirt on inside out or something." "I can manage," he said. She bit her lip. "Okay, sorry. But if you need help, please don't hesitate. I'm not just some decoration here." He didn't respond, so Emily took the initiative, unbuttoning his shirt to help him remove it. Then she offered him the fresh clothes. "Aren't you going to help me put them on?" he asked. She swallowed nervously. "Sure." She took the shirt and gently guided his arms through, mindful of his disability. Once that part was done, he told her to leave so he could handle the rest in private. Emily waited outside in case he needed anything else. She noticed there was still a full plate of breakfast on a nearby table. Apparently, Vincent hadn't eaten. When he emerged from the bathroom fully dressed, Emily saw how perfectly the clothes fit. Thanks to his height and natural good looks, he appeared impeccable. She mustered a small smile. "You didn't eat breakfast?" "I didn't like it," he said bluntly. "That's why I decided we should go out. I plan to eat elsewhere." Emily just nodded. At least he wasn't being cold to her today. A week ago, he would have just shut her out. Later, they were riding in a van, along with the driver, Alfredo. Emily occasionally glanced at Vincent, recalling that life had improved for her after being sold. It was quite the opposite of what she had initially feared. A short drive brought them to a restaurant. When Vincent stepped onto the pavement, he stepped right onto something unpleasant. "What did I step on?" he asked. Emily quickly covered her nose, stepping back at the sight of what it was. Dog poop," she answered, grimacing. Vincent paled. "Poop! Alfredo, get the manager, now!" The driver ran to find the restaurant's manager. It turned out Vincent was a regular there, and the manager was horrified to learn a loyal customer had stepped in something so unsanitary. Emily herself was put off by the grossness, and realized she couldn't eat after seeing or stepping on something like that. She'd just imagine it and lose her appetite. In the end, Vincent had Alfredo drive them to a casual chain restaurant where they ordered chicken. Emily apologized that she didn't know of a better place, but Vincent just said he loved chicken, and that was fine. "I could have cooked chicken for you," she said. "You know how to cook?" he asked. "Yes." He paused. "So you cooked for your first husband?" Emily felt awkward, but she admitted that she had. Vincent said nothing further. After they finished eating, he instructed Alfredo to drive them to his favorite park near the water, where he said there was a nice, fresh breeze. "Wow, it's beautiful here," Emily remarked in awe as soon as they arrived. "This is where I come when I want fresh air," Vincent explained, now seated on a bench. "Yes, it's so pretty," Emily agreed, taking in the scenery. She stood near him, looking around. "Is marriage difficult?" he suddenly asked. She turned, confused. "Marriage? For who?" "You," he clarified. "Was it hard with your first husband?" Her smile disappeared. She didn't answer right away. "Are you still there?" he prompted. She cleared her throat. "Yes, I'm here. It was okay, I guess," she lied, biting her lower lip. In truth, her marriage to Ethan had been far from pleasant. She had experienced so much pain and difficulty. Now, gazing at the park, she saw a familiar face in the distance, someone who made her heart constrict. Ethan. He was there, laughing and holding hands with another woman. They looked happy, sharing food on a picnic blanket. Emily's eyes brimmed with tears. "Are you all right?" Vincent asked, sensing her sudden silence. Emily couldn't respond. She just stared at Ethan and the new woman on the grass, obviously on a carefree date. Her chest tightened. "Emily?" Vincent asked again. She snapped out of it. I'm fine, let's go." They didn't stay long because she couldn't bear to watch Ethan so happy with someone else. When they returned home, Emily immediately called Chelsea, Ethan's cousin, and her friend, to ask about her mother's hospital situation. "Emily, how have you been?" Chelsea greeted. "I'm okay," Emily managed. "I just wanted to ask, has Ethan visited my mom at the hospital? Is the treatment still ongoing?" "Emily, I'm sorry, but I don't know anything about that," Chelsea replied. "But I do have some news about Ethan." Emily guessed what Chelsea was about to say. "What is it?" "He left town, Emily," Chelsea revealed. "He and Aunt Jocelyn are gone. They ran off, leaving behind debts at the gambling den. It's been 2 weeks. Emily's chest tightened. "What do you mean? When did it happen?" 2 weeks ago, Chelsea repeated, her voice uneasy. Realizing Ethan had likely taken the money and abandoned their agreement, Emily hurried to the hospital to check on her mother. She hadn't visited in weeks due to the chaos in her life. As soon as she arrived, the hospital billing staff confronted her about unpaid bills and said her mother's treatment would have to stop if the balance wasn't cleared within a week. "What do you mean Ethan hasn't paid anything?" Emily asked, reeling. "He was supposed to handle the bills." "No one named Ethan has come here, Ma'am," the staff answered. "No one has visited except you." Emily's world collapsed. She could only cry, looking at her mother asleep in her hospital bed, suffering from cancer. If only Emily could take on her mother's illness so her mother wouldn't have to endure it. "Mum," Emily whispered, tears falling, "what am I going to do?" Meanwhile, Vincent was alone in his room, listening to music. Mr. Donovan came in. "What brings you here, Grandpa?" Vincent asked, stopping the music. Mr. Donovan sat down next to him on the sofa. "I heard from Alfredo you went out with Emily today. Ate at some place. I'm glad," he said cheerily. Vincent sighed. "Yes, we did. The food here isn't that good, so I took her somewhere else to eat." "Not good?" Mr. Donovan sounded amused. "I've been eating really well ever since your wife arrived. Melinda said Emily's the one cooking, and I think she's great at it." Vincent paused. So she's the one who cooked the breakfast Melinda brought me this morning? His grandfather laughed. Yes, she's been sharing her cooking with me too. Delicious. If you don't want to miss out, maybe you should give her food a try. Vincent felt a twinge of guilt, remembering he had dismissed the breakfast earlier, thinking it was the usual bland meal. Grandpa, Vincent asked, what does Emily look like? Mr. Donovan coughed. She's ugly. Vincent frowned. Really ugly? In response, his grandfather gave him a playful smack on the head. Ouch, Vincent muttered. You graduated magna cum laude, but you still don't know the opposite of really ugly is really beautiful, Mr. Donovan teased. She's gorgeous, son. There's nothing unattractive about her, except perhaps that she married her gambler husband. I told you about that, remember? It wasn't a good life for her, so treat her kindly. Whether you like her or you're just doing me a favor, don't add to her problems. She's had more than enough troubles. Mr. Donovan's words sank in. Vincent, newly curious about the woman he had married but couldn't see, decided to investigate. Money could buy information quickly, and within 3 days, he received a background report on Emily. She was an only child named Emily Marion. At that point, the private investigator, Vincent Donovan, hired, presented him with new findings. He explained, her maiden name is Emily Español, and she used to be Emily Hernandez when she was married to Ethan Hernandez. They were married for 3 years before Ethan, an engineer, fell deep into gambling debts. Emily has a mother currently fighting cancer, and it looks like the hospital has stopped her treatments due to unpaid bills. Also, there's something else you should know, sir. Tell me, Vincent said. It appears Emily's ex-husband, Ethan Hernandez, is now involved with Ms. Vivian Arances. Vincent froze, fists clenching at this news. What? They've been in a relationship for 4 months? Yes, sir, confirmed the investigator, which means that even before they officially split, Mr. Ethan Hernandez had already found someone else. Vincent realized that the woman in question, Vivian Arances, was actually his own ex-girlfriend, the one who left him mere months after he lost his sight. She was the woman he had once risked his life for, even going blind to save her when her car slammed into a tree due to her reckless driving. He had shielded her, causing his injury. In the end, she abandoned him anyway and moved on with another man. If he had not thrown himself in front of her, she would have been the one who lost her sight, and he would have continued his old life. It was a regret that still stung, especially now that he knew she was using the vision he saved to find someone new. Shaking off the bitterness, Vincent gave instructions to his grandfather's secretary, who was temporarily managing Vincent's affairs. Pay off the hospital bills for my wife's mother. Transfer whatever funds are required. A few moments later, Vincent turned to Melinda when she entered with his meal. Where is my wife? He asked. Did Emily cook this? No, sir, Melinda answered. Our chef prepared it. I don't want it, he said coolly. I want Emily's cooking. He himself wasn't quite sure why he suddenly craved the meals Emily made. Perhaps it was his grandfather's praises about how delicious her food was, or maybe he was just drawn to the warmth behind her cooking. Sir, Melinda replied, your wife said she had an emergency to attend to. His brow furrowed. Where did she go? She said something about going to see her ex-husband, but she seemed distressed. I found her crying last night when I dropped off fresh linens in her room. I'm not really sure what's happening. Vincent grew increasingly tense. Melinda, call Alfred. We're going out. Meanwhile, Emily rode a taxi to the address she had gotten from Chelsea, Ethan's new place. She was on her way to confront him about his broken promise. He had sold her, and she had agreed because he had sworn to cover her mother's hospital bills. The hospital had now halted all treatments due to non-payment, and she found out he'd been off living a carefree life with his new woman. When the taxi pulled up outside a house, her heart pounded at the sight. Taking a steadying breath, she walked to the door and knocked firmly. "Ethan! Ethan! Open up!" She knocked multiple times before the door swung open, revealing a woman whose smile vanished when she recognized Emily. "Where is Ethan?" Emily asked. The woman swallowed hard, then glanced over her shoulder. "Ethan!" she called. "Honey, there's someone." Without waiting, Emily slipped past her into the house. Ethan jumped up from the couch as soon as he spotted her. "Emily," Emily snapped. You promised. You sold me, and I went through with it because you swore you'd pay for my mother's treatment. Now the hospital is stopping her chemotherapy because you haven't paid a cent, and you're here enjoying yourself with your new girlfriend?" Ethan's jaw tightened. He pulled some bills from his wallet and threw them at Emily. "Here, take it. Now leave. We're finished, Emily. We're divorced." He had the nerve to look bored. Emily felt a surge of anger. "You disgust me. You can't just hand me pocket change and expect it to cover all the bills." She wasn't finished when Ethan suddenly slapped her, hard enough to knock her off her feet. She collapsed onto the floor in shock and pain. "Your mother is your responsibility, Emily," Ethan spat. "We never signed anything. I don't have to keep my promise. And besides, you now belong to that old man. Remember? Ask him for the money." Emily's eyes brimmed with tears. "You have no soul," she whispered. "My mother was kind to you, even when you were such a terrible husband. She treated you like her own son." "I don't care what you think," Ethan retorted. "Get out." Emily caught the other woman's eye. This was obviously Ethan's mistress. The woman looked pale and guilty. Emily burst out, "What, are you blind? He's still a married man." Suddenly, Ethan grabbed Emily's arm, dragging her toward the door. "That's enough." Go. Emily tried to struggle free, only to realize he was raising his hand to hit her again when a stern voice interrupted him. "That's enough!" Everyone turned to see Alfred standing in the doorway. The girlfriend's mouth fell open in shock. Apparently, she recognized him. Emily's eyes widened too. If Alfred was here, then that meant... Sure enough, Vincent Donovan followed him inside, guided by Merlinda. Ethan released Emily and rounded on them. "Who are you, and how do you know Vivian?" he demanded, appearing flustered. Vivian, the girlfriend, opened her mouth as though she wanted to explain, but the next person to speak was Vincent himself. "Are you Emily's former husband?" Ethan sneered. "So you're the old man's grandson? I sold her. She belongs to your family now." Vincent's blind gaze was turned in Emily's direction. "I'm here to pick up my wife. She still needs to cook for me." No one moved for a moment. Then Alfred gently helped Emily to her feet and led her out of the house. Vincent, silent, followed. Once back in the van, Emily learned from Merlinda that Vincent had already settled her mother's hospital bills and arranged her transfer to a better facility, complete with private care. Emily felt overwhelmed with relief that, in a single stroke, so many of her problems had been solved. Later, Vincent sat on the sofa in his room while Emily stood nearby, tears in her eyes. He offered her a check. "Use this for whatever your mum needs," he told her calmly. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "You're so kind. I can't thank you enough." "It's nothing," he replied. "Just don't ever go to that man again if you don't want me to retract my support." She choked out a sob of gratitude. "Thank you. Thank you so much." She couldn't stop herself from hugging him. He stiffened momentarily at the contact, but she didn't let go, clinging to him in grateful relief. Vincent asked for nothing in return, except for her to keep cooking for him. That alone seemed to make him happy. In the months that followed, Emily felt a new lightness in her life. She no longer felt trapped by Ethan. Her mother's treatments were moving forward successfully, and she discovered that she was actually falling in love with Vincent. She kept it hidden, believing he might not feel the same way. But fate had other plans. One morning, she woke in her bedroom to find 3 red roses on her side table and a handwritten note that read, "Let's go on a date at 6 p.m. Vincent." Emily blushed deeply. Vincent's blindness didn't stop him from living life on his own terms. That evening, they headed to a resort for a quiet dinner beside a pool. She found it enchanting. "It's beautiful here, Vincent. Have you ever been?" He shook his head. Would you describe it for me?" She smiled. "Sure. The pool is crystal clear, and there are fairy lights around the—" "Actually," he interrupted softly, "describe yourself for me. I want to see you, at least in my imagination." Emily stood, went over to him, and lifted his hand to her face. "This is me, Vincent," she whispered. His fingers traced her features. "I wish I could see you," he murmured. She took his hand in hers. "It's okay if you can't. I can see you, Vincent." "What do you see?" he asked, quietly curious. Her breath caught. "I see a handsome man." He chuckled. "I know that part already. But what else do you see?" She hesitated, heartbeat racing. "Would you be mad if I told you that I'm, well, falling for you? A blind man like me? Do you think you could accept that?" Emily was stunned. "Vincent, what if I told you I'm in love with you?" he asked, voice filled with hope. "Would you accept it, Emily?" "Am I worthy as your husband?" She could barely breathe at his question. You're my husband now," she said at last, "and you've been good to me." "So, do you love me?" he persisted. She found herself on the spot, her cheeks flaming. She could feel his intense focus, even if he couldn't see. "Vincent, you're a wonderful husband," she admitted. "It's not hard to fall for someone like you. You have a good heart." "Then give me the words," Vincent said quietly. "I can't see your face, but I can hear your voice." She took a deep breath, placing his hand over her heart. "I love you, Vincent. I'm in love with you too." The moment she said it, he slid a hand around her waist, pulling her onto his lap. She clutched his shoulders, their faces inches apart. "I can't see you, but I can feel you, Emily," he whispered, gently caressing her cheek. "Can I kiss you?" She flushed. "We're on a date, aren't we? We both love each other." She leaned in and pressed her lips against his, only to be surprised when Vincent began to move his lips firmly against hers, guiding her closer. She'd only ever kissed Ethan before, and that had been nothing like this. Now she willingly opened her heart to Vincent, letting go of the past and embracing her new life with him. From that day on, Emily came to accept that her real husband was Vincent Donovan, not the man who had sold her. She introduced Vincent to her mother, who was steadily recovering from her illness. "Is this true?" her mother exclaimed, looking delighted as Vincent stood before her in the hospital room. "He's so handsome, sweetie. I never imagined you were married again." Emily bit her lip. "Mum, it's a long story." "And it's wonderful," her mother said, giggling. "Where did you find such a gorgeous young man?" Vincent smiled faintly. "Ma'am, I'm blind," he told her gently. Her mother's eyes widened. "Oh, I'm so sorry, dear, but you're still incredibly handsome. Have lots of children with my daughter, okay? Before I leave this world." "Mum!" Emily exclaimed, embarrassed. Vincent chuckled. "Your mother reminds me a bit of my grandpa." He turned to Emily's mother. "Don't worry, Mom. I'm not opposed to starting a family." Her mother placed a hand on her chest. "That's good, dear, because my daughter's garden is wide open." "Mum!" Emily cried, mortified. But that was just how her mother was, cheerful and a bit too frank when feeling well. Emily preferred this boisterous version of her to the frail version that cancer had made her for so long. I want to see again, so I can look at you and your future baby," Vincent told her mother sincerely. The older woman beamed. "My daughter is so lucky to have found a truly good husband this second time around. She was miserable with Ethan, looked like she aged 10 years with all the stress he caused. But now, you're here." She and Vincent continued chatting, quickly bonding. Vincent promised to visit her often. Over the next few months, more blessings poured in. Emily's mother's condition improved further, and Vincent received hopeful news about a possible surgery to restore his sight. Emily prayed fervently that both her mother and Vincent would fully recover, that they could be a real family. One day, Melinda reminded Emily, "Ma'am, it's Mr. Vincent's birthday." They were in a grocery store at the time. "He's not big on parties. Do you have a plan?" Emily nodded with a big smile. "I want to prepare a nice surprise for him, maybe a little celebration at home. I'm going to bake him a cake." Melinda looked relieved. "I don't think he'll mind. In fact, he might love it, especially if it's coming from you." They loaded up their cart at the store. Standing in line, they heard a commotion at another checkout counter. Melinda sighed. "Ugh, that's going to slow everything down." Emily glanced over, and her heart dropped. She recognized the loud customer as Aunt Jocelyn, wearing gaudy clothes and jewelry, ranting at the cashier. "Ma'am, your card is declined," the weary cashier explained. "It can't be," Aunt Jocelyn shot back. "There was money in there earlier. Maybe you stole it." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's no money in the account. If you don't have cash, you'll have to put the items back." Aunt Jocelyn looked around wildly, then spotted Emily. Her face lit up in an unsettling way as she rushed over and grabbed Emily's arm. "Emily, my dear daughter-in-law, pay for my things. They cost about $3,000. You've got money, right?" Emily shook her off. "I'm not your daughter-in-law, Aunt Jocelyn. This is your stuff. Pay for it yourself." She pushed her cart forward as Aunt Jocelyn fumed. "You ungrateful brat! You don't remember where you came from, do you? You have no sense of debt." Emily ignored her, told the cashier to ring up her own groceries, and paid for everything without further incident. She did notice Aunt Jocelyn's eyes nearly pop out when Emily handed over the money. "How much is it?" Emily asked the cashier. $7,000, replied the exhausted cashier. Emily handed over the bills, and one of the nearby customers commented, "Wow, that's a lot of groceries." Emily smiled. "It's my husband's birthday soon. I'm planning a little celebration." "Oh, you're so sweet," the other customer cooed. "He's lucky to have you." Emily shot a look at Aunt Jocelyn, whose expression had soured. "Yes," Emily said firmly, "I love my husband." At home, she found Vincent in the living room with Mr. Donovan. The older man stood up and greeted her. "Hello, my dear. It's been a while since I've been here, but I've been taking care of paperwork for Vincent's eye treatment. This month we'll head out of the country for his operation." Emily's eyes went wide. "Really?" "Yes," Mr. Donovan said. "He wants it done as soon as possible because he's eager to see someone." His eyes sparkled knowingly. "Get ready, my dear. My grandson's going to be even more restless once he's able to see again." Emily turned to Vincent, who had a slight frown on his face. "What's wrong?" she asked him. He pursed his lips. "You took so long," he said coolly. "I've been waiting." Emily moved to his side and took his hand. "I'm sorry, Vincent. I got held up at the grocery store and I bought a lot of things." He shrugged. "Fine, stay with me later." Hearing this, Mr. Donovan and Melinda quietly slipped away. Mr. Donovan joked about being too old to handle so many sweet moments. In the days that followed, everyone stayed busy preparing for Vincent's upcoming birthday party. Vincent had no idea what they were planning. Emily enlisted help from Melinda and the other staff to decorate. It would be a simple, cozy affair, and Emily herself planned to bake the cake. She also contacted some of Vincent's old friends, who were excited to hear he was married. They promised to come, saying Vincent never celebrated his birthday before, and that this was a special occasion. One evening, Emily returned to find Vincent in his room. He teased, "You're so busy, you don't visit me in my room anymore." She laughed softly, hugging him. "I'm sorry, my husband. It'll be over soon." "What are you working on anyway?" he asked. "It's a secret," she replied, hugging him tighter. They were lying side by side on his bed, her favorite place to cuddle with him after a long day. He pouted. "I barely get your time now. When you do come over, you're tired." She giggled, cupping his face. "Don't worry, I'm all yours tonight." Apparently, that was the final straw for his patience. Vincent suddenly rolled on top of her, making her heart pound. "Emily," he said, "you're mine tonight." She swallowed hard and whispered, "Yes, I'm yours, Vincent." It turned out that, despite his blindness, Vincent's senses were more than capable of guiding him through the intimacy that followed. He left no doubt that he very much could show physical affection. Their bodies came together in the heat of passion for the first time that night. Eventually, Vincent's birthday arrived. Emily surprised him with a small gathering at the mansion, joined by Mr. Donovan, the household staff, and a few of Vincent's old friends. Vincent was shocked, but rather than being upset at the fuss, he looked genuinely happy, especially once he got to reconnect with his friends. "You're so lucky," one friend, Mark, told him. "Your wife is clearly a wonderful person." "Yeah," another added. "I remember when we thought you might end up marrying Vivian, but things have a way of working out. You definitely came out on top." Emily's attention perked up. Vivian? Was that the woman who caused Vincent's blindness? She recognized the name as Ethan's new girlfriend. Mark added, "I saw Vivian at the airport recently. She was leaving the country, I think. Good riddance, if you ask me. No offense, but she's nowhere near as beautiful as your new wife." Emily felt a sense of relief. It looked like Vivian was finally out of the picture, for both Ethan and Vincent. Another friend, George, said, "So you're heading overseas for that surgery? When you come back, let's hang out with our wives again, all of us together." Emily beamed at the thought. Vincent seemed so glad to be talking and laughing with his friends. Previously, their busy lives and families had pulled them apart, but now they were reconnecting, and it made her heart warm to see him so joyful. While heading to the kitchen, Emily's phone rang from an unknown number. She hesitated, then picked up. "Hello, Emily." A drunken voice slurred. It was Ethan. "So, life's good for you now, huh?" He sneered. "That old man fooled me. Vivian left me and she took my money. You humiliated my mother too. You and that blind husband of yours. Why don't you rob him and bring the money to me?" Emily shuddered and ended the call without replying. She switched her phone to silent mode, determined not to let Ethan ruin Vincent's celebration. A week after Vincent's birthday, he and Mr. Donovan flew out of the country for the operation to restore his sight. Emily missed him terribly. She had grown used to being around him, and it would be at least a month before he returned. Still, they stayed in touch daily by phone or video call until his surgery day approached. "Is there anything you want me to bring back from here?" Vincent asked over the phone. "I'll have my procedure soon." "Just come home safe," Emily said softly. "I miss you." "What if I still can't see after the operation?" he asked in a subdued tone. "It won't matter," she insisted. "I fell in love with you just the way you are. Nothing will change." Vincent went silent for a moment, then murmured, "I love you too." However, once his surgery day arrived, communication abruptly ceased. Emily became anxious when days turned into weeks without word. Neither Vincent nor Mr. Donovan answered her calls, and she had no way of reaching the doctors overseas. She worried constantly. Was the surgery successful? Why couldn't she reach them? Did something go wrong? At the 3-week mark, Emily woke up one morning feeling nauseated and dizzy. Melinda found her throwing up in the bathroom and asked, "Ma'am, are you okay? You don't think you might be pregnant, do you?" Emily froze. "Pregnant?" Melinda guided her to a mirror. "Didn't you and Mr. Vincent share a room? It's possible, right?" Stunned, Emily realized Melinda might be correct. She hurried out to buy a home pregnancy kit, took it in the nearest mall restroom, and stared in disbelief at 2 bold lines. "I'm pregnant," she whispered, her hand flying to her mouth. "I'm going to be a mother." Elated, she rushed out, phone in hand, desperate to call Vincent. She wanted him to be the first to know, but once again she couldn't reach him. The call wouldn't go through. "Vincent," she murmured. Dejected, she headed toward the restroom exit, only to freeze when someone familiar walked in. Ethan. Emily's heart pounded. "There you are," Ethan said with a nasty grin. "We've got plans, Emily. We're going to rob that Donovan place tonight. The owners aren't home, right?" She backed away. "You're insane. Leave me out of your lunacy." He grabbed her arm, making her yelp. "What's the problem? We'll split the spoils. Or do you want me to just kill your blind husband and have everything to ourselves?" She jerked her arm free, pushing him away. The pregnancy test kit she'd been holding clattered to the floor. Ethan picked it up, frowning. "What's this?" he demanded. "You're pregnant?" Emily straightened her shoulders. "Yes, so what?" You're such a tramp," he growled, reaching for her. Before he could lay a hand on her again, Emily kicked him between the legs. He doubled over in pain, cursing. She took the chance to flee the restroom. "Emily!" Ethan shouted, hobbling after her. "Get back here!" Terror spurred her onward, dodging through the mall crowds. People stared, but she ignored them, focusing on escape. She wasn't looking where she was going, though, and suddenly slammed into someone. The collision made her head spin. "Ow!" she groaned, stepping back and clutching her forehead. Her first instinct was to run again, but a hand closed gently around her wrist. "Let go! Let go!" she exclaimed, trying to pull free. "Easy there," said a calm male voice. She froze. Turning around, she found herself staring at Mr. Donovan, Vincent's grandfather. "Are you all right, my dear?" he asked kindly. She blinked. "You're here? Is Vincent here too? Where?" Mr. Donovan tipped her chin towards someone behind her. Emily turned and her heart skipped a beat. There stood Vincent, looking directly at her. Could he see? His intense gaze told her everything. He had regained his vision. Before Emily could say a word, Ethan rushed up, breathless. But when he saw Vincent's hand on Emily, he burst out laughing in disbelief. "So the knight in shining armor is back? Still blind, I see." Vincent's head turned sharply in Ethan's direction, unmistakably tracking him with his eyes. Mr. Donovan stepped forward. "Mr. Hernandez, do you recall the contract you signed? You took $2 million in exchange for agreeing never to bother my granddaughter-in-law again. Is your money gone so soon that you're chasing her again?" No, sir, Ethan stammered, stepping back as security guards advanced at a signal from Mr. Donovan. "Take him away," Mr. Donovan ordered. "He's a nuisance to my grandson's plans." The guards seized Ethan, hauling him off. Mr. Donovan shook his head and turned to Emily and Vincent. "We'll give you two some space," he said gently. "Keep a firm hold on her this time, Vincent, so she doesn't get away." With a playful wink, Mr. Donovan left them, accompanied by the rest of his security detail. Emily looked up at Vincent, heart pounding. She waved a hand in front of his face. "Hi," she ventured, almost afraid to hope. His eyes shone as he smiled. "Hi. I can see you now, Emily." Her breath caught. You really can see? Me?" "You're beautiful," he murmured, lifting a hand to gently touch her cheek. "And now that I can finally see, there's only one thing left to do." Before she could ask what he meant, Vincent dropped to one knee in front of her, drawing astonished looks from passers-by. Emily gasped, covering her mouth with her hand as tears welled in her eyes. "I'm sorry it took me so long to come back," Vincent said. "But I'm here now. I want to marry you again, this time with my own eyes watching you. Emily." He opened a small box, revealing a sparkling ring. "Will you marry me again?" Emily's tears flowed freely. "Vincent, I have something to tell you," she whispered. He swallowed hard. "What is it?" She managed a shaky smile. "I'm pregnant." For a second, Vincent stared at her in stunned silence. Then he burst out, Yes, I'll marry you, and I'm going to be a father." The onlookers around them cheered and clapped. Vincent rose to his feet, slid the ring onto her finger, and pulled her into an embrace, pressing a tender kiss to her forehead, in full view of the crowd. At last, Vincent Donovan had regained his eyesight after months of struggle. As for Emily's mother, her condition improved so much that, after 2 years of continuous treatment, she was finally declared cancer-free. A miracle for Emily. Ethan was barred from approaching her again, under legal threat, and Aunt Jocelyn was similarly ordered to keep her distance if they both wished to avoid prison. Emily's troubles were finally laid to rest. 1 month of planning later, Emily and Vincent wed in a church ceremony, surrounded by people dearest to them, those who had witnessed their journey. Her baby bump wasn't really noticeable yet, so she was still able to wear the fitted wedding gown specially made for her. "Sweetie," her mother said, after the ceremony, approaching the newlyweds at the reception, "I have a gift for the two of you." Vincent and Emily exchanged curious glances as her mother placed a large, thick, red book on the table. "Open it," she urged excitedly. Emily and Vincent lifted the cover for a peek, and Emily slammed it shut again, face burning. "Mom, it's a, bedroom guide," her mother said cheerily, ignoring her mortified daughter. "I got it off Amazon. It'll spice up your marriage. It even suggests positions for conceiving either a boy or a girl." Vincent coughed, cheeks tinting pink. Emily's face was on fire. "Anyway," her mother said, "take it. And give me lots of grandkids before I leave this world." Before Emily could reply, the guests started clinking their glasses in unison, cheering for the newlyweds to kiss. Vincent gently pulled Emily close by the waist and whispered, "Let's kiss, my wife." They shared a light, loving kiss. Emily thought that would be enough, but Vincent leaned in again to murmur in her ear, "We'll try some of these ideas in that book later, right?" She turned even redder. "But I'm pregnant." "After you have the baby," he teased. "Keep the book safe. We'll need it." Then, as the guests clinked their glasses once more, he lifted her chin and kissed her again. Emily realized her life had turned out far differently than she'd ever imagined. She had been sold by her first husband, yes, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, leading her to the man who truly loved her. Vincent Donovan had brought color and warmth back into her world, and she intended to treasure every day with him. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story as well as I enjoyed writing it. Thank you and enjoy the new year.